Hey, what's going on? It's Stokely from South Sunderland. You know, the other day, my car battery ran out, and the fan for my secondary air pump was going off, and it drained my battery down. So, kind of two things happened simultaneously that I needed to manage my mind and be mindful about. Now, my boss, you know, he gave me a jump start. And during the process of me trying to disconnect the fan, first I tried to disconnect the fan for the radiator because I thought that was the fan that was going, but it was actually my secondary air pump fan. So I had to take off a little piece of the bumper, to access it, to disconnect it. And first I disconnected the radiator. First he came over. I hooked up the jumper cables to my car, to his car. You know, open the hoods, hook up the jumper cables. I heard a fan going, so I disconnected the fans for the radiator. Those were not the fans that were, like I said. So then I was like, oh, that must be the the fan for the secondary air pump. So I cut open a piece of the well, not really cut open, but I accessed a piece of area through the bumper, and then I was trying to remove the connector, but the connector was not complying. So then he's hurrying me up and saying, hurry up. And I was like, you know, I was offended by that. I was like, what are you hurrying me for? You see I'm trying to do something, like you got somewhere to go. But what happened was he was there revving the car. So he didn't understand. I didn't really communicate to him and all of that because I'm just trying to move fast doing what I'm doing. We weren't even out there for not even 5 minutes yet. He's telling me to hurry up. So I was kind of miffed about that. But then I said to myself later on, I was like, wait a minute, but he's helping me, so that's worth something. I shouldn't be ungrateful, you know, that's just his abrasive personality. And normally, you know, he's a cool guy. He was actually going to let me go home early that day, but I decided I'm not going home early. I'm just going to work, you know. I'm on work, or then I'm going to go home and do it anyway. So, you know, he's pretty cool. So, you know, whatever was going on, he had something going on. He had to go. So I had to forgive him and appreciate him for the generosity, for one, because there was a young guy who he's like he works for one of the mechanic shops around the area that I go to. And I went to the mechanic shop. I asked them for a jumper, you know, if they had one of those portable jumpers. So the guy, he basically didn't want to let me use the jumper. And then I see one of the guys that helps the mechanic move the cars around. He's just like a gopher guy, just washes cars and stuff like that. I saw him driving one of my company's vehicles, and I said, hey, can I get a jump? I don't know this. And he said, no, I can't do that. So I was upset about that too, but not to a certain extent. I was like, you know, I'll catch you on the back end. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that to him, but I was thinking it in my mind. I'm gonna get you for that. But of course, I'm not gonna do anything to anybody. It's just my knee-jerk emotional response in my mind. I never do anything to anybody. So I just kept going. I went back in my building and asked my job to give me a jump start. My boss to give me a jump start because he was about to leave anyway. So got under there. The fan wouldn't disconnect, so I had to get something and just cut it. I just cut the wire. And then, you know, I was recording a post, and I was saying, I don't know if I uploaded it, but I was saying to myself, you know, is this the Lord punishing me? Blah 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 blah. But what ended up happening is I've had an issue with my secondary air blower where the ports that it blows into, I believe, are clogged based on what I've looked up. And those ports being clogged caused my check engine light to come on. And what happened was, I thought the fan was the problem, so I bought a new fan. I bought a new relay thinking that the relay was no good, but apparently the relay is bad because the relay was stuck running. But anyhow, my check engine light was on. But since my battery died and I cut the fan, my check engine light has not come back on. So what that's going to ultimately do is allow me to do my inspection now, God willing. And my codes are all clear. My codes are good. I'll be able to do my inspection and pass my inspection so I can keep driving my car for another year without having to worry about fixing that specific non-critical issue. The secondary air blower has a feature where it just heats up it's supposed to heat up the I think the O2 sensors. And Volkswagen has had a controversy regarding trying to bypass certain emission standards, and I think that's one of the features of their corrupt system. Anyhow, so it turned out to be a blessing that's gonna save me a lot of work and save me a lot of well, not a lot, but it's gonna save me some worry. It's gonna save me some work, and it's gonna save me from having to either buy another vehicle so that I can have a vehicle that passes inspection. It's gonna save me from having to take apart the whole front of my car over the winter in order to properly clean those ports. So it was all a blessing, you know. And you know, I was having a conversation with my cousin when we were talking, and I was like, you know what? Problems are where you find them. Some problems are where you look for them sometimes. You know what I mean? So it's sometimes, you know, there's no issue, but you're looking for an issue, so you find one. You know, you're vibrating on that level. And then I was listening to a guy that I follow on Instagram. I found out about him by looking up Derek Verrett. So when I followed Derek Verrett, I think his name is Derek Verrett. Derek Verrett, he's like some spiritual healer. Some people call him a scammer. So Derek Verrett is like, you know, is in a circle of guys, you know, positive self-healing, positive healing guys that I don't think I uploaded that, but I guess I just spoke it to myself. But he's in a circle of like-minded individuals. Derek Verrett is a black guy. There's another black guy. He used to have dreads. Now he's bald. I don't remember what his name is right now. But he was like, he's similar. You know, I like his style too, because what he does something like I do and refer to the Bible all the time. So he was talking about Job. He was talking about Job, and Job said something like, Job, this is how he was saying it. He was saying basically Job, and I don't know this to be how the story goes, but maybe he knows the story a little deeper. He says, Job said, yo, the worst thing that I feared has happened to me. So basically he's saying that Job didn't want certain things to happen to him. And because he kept thinking about those things happening to him, that's the thing that ended up happening to him. Well, we already know that, you know, the more artistic, the more whatever storybook version of what happened to Job was that God and the devil made a bet that Job would lose his faith if God took away his protection from him. And, you know, and Job proved ultimately that he was relatively faithful, you know, I mean, he wasn't like 100. I don't know. From my recollection, he wasn't 100% like 100% like faithful like that. There's a point where he complains a little bit. But yeah. If you think that you're being punished, then that's what you're getting. I guess, right? I don't know. That's basically what the guy was saying. Oh, I thought you were turning. You had your indicator on like you were turning. Anyhow, man. So anyhow, thinking positive, is important. Funny enough, I was having a conversation with someone, and they were telling me something about the Bible, and they were like, even when the people of the book betrayed God, in theory, right? Or betrayed God, whatever you want to call it, and started worshiping other gods and stuff like that, they got punished, but they got brought back in. They still were allowed, they were forgiven and brought back into the fold, So sometimes, I'm conflicted between the big three formative religions and physics and metaphysics and my own little made up mumbo jumbo that I come up with. I don't want to be a blasphemer because I don't want to be punished, but maybe the reason why, while I'm thinking that, I'm bringing myself within that vibration, I'm bringing myself within resonance of punishment. While if I bring myself into a positive vibration or a more abundant vibration or more abundant thought process, that would, if I bring myself into a more positive thought process or whatever, I can get that kind of result. I mean, even the Bible tells you don't worry about anything. It says, don't worry about what you're going to eat or drink. It says, don't worry about what you're going to wear. It says, don't be anxious for anything. So it's basically saying, don't worry about anything. It says, don't worry about today because tomorrow, it says, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't even worry about tomorrow because tomorrow got all the junk in it that you're going to deal with tomorrow anyway. When you get to tomorrow, you'll deal with that garbage over there. You know what I mean? So it's basically saying, live in the moment somewhat. Now, live in the moment. Stuff like store up treasures in heaven, which is, I don't really know. That's kind of vague, but I would say that means that, you can't depend on stuff in the earth because that's not really, that's not eternal. That's not, So if you think forward, if you think on a long game, you make more sustainable choices. Look, if the scientists were looking and saying, listen, hey, guess what? These pesticides that we're going to make, these petroleum, these plastics that we're going to develop in the 1940s, 1950s, whatever. All of these plastics, the Bakelite, all of these plastics, the Tupperware. I mean, they had Tupperware people going around selling Tupperware. All of this plastic that we're putting in everything, right? How are we going to get rid of it later on? Oh man, so many raccoons on the road. But how are we going to get rid of it later on? We're making these plastics. They're going to last 1,000 years. What are we going to do with all the plastics as time progresses? It's just maybe now in the past 20 years that we're thinking that, hey, guess what? Those plastics, we need to melt them down and make them back into other things so that we don't have to keep polluting the environment and having a big, almost land mass of plastic in the Pacific Ocean that the whales are eating. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't think about that, you know. I mean, even concrete. Look, I'm passing a concrete mill right now. I'm passing a concrete plant right now. Like the concrete, like some of the concrete that was made back in Roman times is still around. The Pantheon, you know, places like that, whatever. You know, the Arc de Triomphe and all of that stuff from like probably the 1700s, 1600s maybe. All those things are still around. You know, we got some buildings in New York City that are from the 1700s that are still standing. You know, and some of them, just the brick part is standing. And what the Housing Preservation and Development Department does, I think that's the name of the department, what they do is they gut out the inside of the building and they maintain the outside facade that's made out of stone, and they rebuild a new building inside of that because the stone is still good. So, the stone and the brick, and the brick is made from sand and clay. Anyhow, fortunately, those things, the earthenware is not too bad. We can crush that, make it back into stone, that's okay. But plastic is something else. Matter of fact, if you eat a piece of stone, or if you eat a little piece of sand or something, which I wouldn't do, your stomach acid could probably dissolve that and use it in some kind of way. Unless maybe it's silica, I don't know, that might pass through. But anyhow, I'm just talking too much, but I just want to say that there was a blessing in disguise when my car broke down. It was a blessing. I'm going to try to get my car inspected today before my check engine light comes back on. And then I'll be good for the whole year. I don't have to get another inspection or worry about a emissions inspection again. So, I greatly, I want to give thanks to God. I want to give thanks to my boss. I want to give thanks to myself. I want to give thanks to my parents. I want to give thanks to everybody. I even want to give thanks to the kid that didn't want to give me the jump start. Because if he gave me the jump start, what I would have done was I would have disconnected the fan, and I would have probably had enough time to disconnect the fan, jump start it. This weekend I probably would have worked on it, maybe, taking away some time from relaxing and resting and all of that, yada yada, blah blah blah. Who knows what could have happened, but it all worked out for my good, and it worked out well, and I want to thank God for that. So, hey, I ain't got nothing much else to say. Think positive. Some things that are happening that are undesirable may be putting you in position for something else. And this is a perfect example. Car broke down, resulted in putting me in a good position right now where I'm going to be relaxed. Something I don't have to worry about. Hey, thanks for listening.